Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Live from Yellowstone. Rabbi Sai. We're starting a brand new mission on the bottom of Tzadik Gimel on the base. The whole parak is talking about Gid Hanasha, the sciatic nerve that we're not allowed to eat because of what happened with Yaakov Avinu and the Malach. The Mishnah starts off saying that you're allowed to send a thigh that has a Gid Hanasha because it's obvious the way you sent it that the Gid is still in there, and even if a Jew buys that meat, he's not going to be nichshal. He's not going to eat the Gid Hanasha. Says the Gemara, why does the Mishnah say yerech? Yerech means a whole thigh. Seems like if it's cut up, like we buy today, a pound or 2 pounds of meat, that would be also to sell to the guy. Now, before we start, I just have to give you Agdama. You're talking about a city, let's say it's Bnei Brak. Most of the butchers are Jewish, so even a non-Jew that's selling meat, let's say you have an Arab selling meat, you're allowed to buy from him. You hear this? Because most of the butchers in the city are Jewish. Where are they getting the meat from? They're getting from a Jew. So even the non-Jew is buying from a Jew, so you could buy and he's reselling to the Jew. That's if it's in a place where they announce. What does that mean? If there's a treifa, so somebody gets up on the table and says, hey, no, for Bistro Chayla, B'nei Chayla. Says a certain lashon that tells us, hey, there's meat that's going to the non-Jew. It's treif. And if it's treif, people are going to know not to buy that thing. So there's no concern that you're going to be buying treif. Why? Because if there is treif in the city, there's an announcement made that there's treif, and therefore you know not to buy from the non-Jew. But if it's a place that they don't announce, for whatever reason, you don't want to upset the goyim, so you don't announce, now you can't buy from the guy, because perhaps he's selling treif. So the Gemara says, the full bottom line on Daf Tzadik Gimel on the base. What's the case? If it's a place where they don't announce, and if they don't announce, it's also to buy from the guy, because you don't know what kind of meat he has. So it will always be also to buy. Every day it will be also. Says the Gemara, so what's the problem? Why do you have to send the guy only the whole thigh? You could send him chopped up pieces of meat. Why? There's no concern. The Jew's not going to buy from the guy. This is a city that you don't buy from the guy. So we have to talk about it's a place that they announce, and today they didn't announce. Oh, so if they didn't announce, Shleimo. Nami, how could you send the non-Jew a full thigh? He'll cut it up and sell it. And it's talking about there's no announcement that day. So there's no announcement. Everybody's going to buy from the guy. And you sold the guy the larger piece. So he's going to chop it up into pieces, and you're allowed to buy those smaller pieces. But the smaller pieces have a Gid Hanasha in it. Says Gemara 3 ways to answer this. You could say he's talking about a place that they make announcements. If they make announcements, it's mutter to buy from the guy. He's talking about a place that they don't make the announcements, it's also to buy from the guy. But we had a question on each one. He's talking about a place that they announce, and therefore you're allowed to buy from the guy. The guy made the idea. So the guy, the Jew cuts it in a certain way, and the guy cuts it in a certain way. And I'm not concerned that the guy is going to cut it up and then sell it to the Jew, because then we'll know that it's not good meat. We're talking about a place that they don't announce. If they don't announce, what's the concern? Nobody buys from the guy. We are concerned you're going to buy from the guy, because a Jew is going to see how a Jew sold to the guy. So you have Reuven just watching, Reuven sees how Shimon sold a nice piece of meat to the guy. So Reuven's going to come and buy it from the guy because he doesn't know that there's a Geranash in there. It's a place that you don't buy from guy, but he's going to be my head. He's going to say, hey, I saw it with my own eyes. There's nothing to be concerned. I saw a Jew selling it to him. Okay? The Ritva adds that the Jew heard the Yid telling him, this is kosher meat. But the Jew didn't say that he removed the Geranash, and the guy buying it is not going to know there's a Geranash in there. Okay. A third pshat, and this brings us into this phenomenal Gemara with Agadata and all sorts of very interesting halachas. It is prohibited to pretend that you worked hard for the guy, that you worked hard and removed the Geranash. The guy is going to think to himself, oh, what a great Jew. Why is he giving me this piece? Because he knows he went ahead and he removed the Geranash before he gave it to me. So Amar Shmuel, and listen to this, I think this is important. Might be the most important thing in the whole Masechta. I don't want to exaggerate, but hey, if you're going to take away one Yisod from the whole Masechta, you live in Chutz La'aretz, even in Eretz Yisrael, the Amar Shmuel, Asur Lignoiv Das Habriois, it's asur to steal the mind of other people. In other words, you're not allowed to make people think certain things when they're not true. Va'afilu daitoi shel goy. You have to repeat this. It's asur to do gnevas das. Va'afilu daitoi shel goy. The Rambam says you're not allowed to add one word that could change a word of pitui, a word that will convince the guy to do something. And certainly, the Achronim say, certainly not in business. It's hard to comprehend. In business, tell the guy that the house you're selling him, the car you're selling him, yada yada, fill in the blank. You know what I'm talking about. It's never been in an accident. Whatever it is. But he's a guy, who cares? No. It's awesome. Also, some Rishonim say it's the Deraisa, some say it's the Rabbanan. Regardless, it's awesome. It's awesome for us to say a word, whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. We all do business with the guy. So the Gemara says, you should know that Shmuel never said it straight out, but we were able to learn from Shmuel. What happened? The Shmuel have a call. Shmuel was going over the river on a boat. You go pay. He tells the Shamish, his mashbak, he says, please do me a favor, go pay the driver. Paise, so he went and he paid him. Vikvad. And Shmuel was very upset. So from here we see that Gnei Bazakum is also. What's the story? My time Ikvad. Why was Shmuel upset? Omar Abaya, Tarnagoyas Treif Avoy. What he gave him was a chicken that had a treif in it. You have an alei b'mar de shchuta, and he gave it to him. The second pshat in Rashi is instead of a shchuta. The guy thought that he's giving him a nice shechted chicken. In fact, it was a treifa. Rav Amar Ampaka Amar Leila Shkuyi. Shmuel tells his mashbak, I want you to give him Ampaka. That's a glass. Like today we have small shot glasses for whiskey, for tequila. Then they used to have a special glass for wine that wasn't diluted with water. So he went ahead. Shmuel told him, go give him some non-diluted wine. Vashki Chamer Meziga, and he went and he gave him diluted wine. That's why he's upset at him. That was the Gnevas Das. Says Gemara of Chimiklalamai. Okay, isn't this pretty obvious that Shmuel held that you shouldn't do Gnevas Das to a guy? Why is the Gemara saying, well, he didn't say Mefurish, you can learn from the story. Says Gemara, no, you know why he was upset? Because why did you have a tray of chicken with you? You should get rid of a tray of chicken. Somebody might come to eat it. It's a problem. He wasn't upset on the Gnevas Das. He was upset on the fact that he had a tray of chicken with him. And according to the shita that he told him to give him non-diluted wine, He's upset at him that he didn't listen to him. I, Shmuel, told you to give him non-diluted wine. You gave him diluted wine. What kind of chutzpah is that? Perhaps it has nothing to do with Gnevas Das. But Lamaisa, the Shulchan Aruch paskins that we cannot do Gnevas Das to a non-Jew. Tanya, don't ask your friend to come have a meal by you on Shabbos when you know he's not going to come. Why is he not going to come? Because that day you found out he's going to be on vacation. That day somebody else invited him. So it's also for you to do that. Don't start loading up gifts and you know that he doesn't accept gifts. You have a giant barrel, 50-liter barrel. You know, everybody knows that if you open up a bottle of wine today, it starts spoiling immediately. Probably won't even last the next Shabbos. You open up a giant barrel, 50-liter barrel. It's not going to last the next Shabbos. You open it, he comes over to you. He comes to the Shabbos. You open up a barrel of wine. He thinks, wow, he's opening up a 50-liter barrel for me. But the truth is, you already sold it to somebody else. On Sunday, you're going to deliver it. So that's Gnevas Das. You come to him, you know he's not going to use your shampoo. You come to him with an empty bottle. And you tell him, hey, I got some shampoo for you, geschmacky stuff. And he says, no, I don't need the shampoo. But I was just trying to be nice to him. I didn't have any shampoo, I was trying to be nice. Awesome. So here's an exception to the rule. And that is, that if you're trying to show other people that you're mechabedim, he's your Rav, he's your this, you tell people, look what I want to give the Rav, I want to give him these gifts, I want to give him shampoo, I want to give him wine, and now other people are mechabed the Rav because of that. They see how much you're mechabedim, and that gives the Rav covet. It's not the one-on-one. The one-on-one is also, even though you're giving him covet at the same time, that's not mutter. But if you're doing it in front of other people and giving the covet to the Rav in front of other people, that's okay. Ula was once a guest by Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda opened up barrels, the 50-liter barrels that he already sold to somebody else. How could you do it? Says Gemara, you do it. Rabbi Yehuda told Ula, by the way, I sold these barrels, and I'm not opening them for you. They're already sold. I'm opening for you for the cup. Don't worry, I'm not gonna have a loss, a 49-liter loss here. I already sold it. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda loved Ula, the Galadar, Ula, the Galadar. You know what it means when the Galadar comes to your house? Yeah, he would open up a 50-liter bottle just for Ula. Whether he sold it or not is not important. He would have opened it just for him 100%. I know people that would do it. I was at Shmuel Wasserman's house, Pesach time. He was opening up $500 bottles of wine. Why? Because that's what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted to be mechabed with it. So regardless of if he was able to sell it later or not sell it later, which obviously he didn't, but I'm saying people do that. When they have something that they like, whatever it is, they open up a nice bottle. He wanted to be mechabed Ula. So yes, it was sold and he wasn't going to lose on it. But even if it wasn't sold, he would still open up that barrel of wine. He goes into the Avel's house and he knows the guy is not going to drink from the wine. He's an Avel. He's not allowed to drink wine. And he has this bottle of wine. It's making a lot of noise. He's going in, Kilo, like he's a nice guy. He knows he's not going to take it. Or fill your bottle with, instead of bringing vodka, he brings water. And the guy thinks it's vodka. But he's not going to drink it anyways. He's fooling him. If there's like a lot of chashav people from the city, the mayor and his people, not in New York, in other places, mutar. Because now you're giving covet to the avel in front of other people. And that we said is mutar. You're not allowed to sell a shoe of an animal, a leather shoe of an animal that died, and pretend that it came from an animal that was shechted. If they say there's two concerns. First of all, you're tricking the guy. The guy doesn't want a shoe with leather from a dead animal, which is inferior. An animal that died from old age or whatever, not good leather. You have to be careful because the shoe might contain some, how did the animal die? Maybe he was bit by a snake and has snake venom in it. Here, something like this. Send them. Now, oil will float to the top. It's heavier. And oil is more expensive than wine. So you lie. Now, he didn't pay for it. It's a gift. So okay. I'm allowed to give any gift I want, right? No. He gives his friend, it's really wine. He gives him oil. So now, in those days, they used to dip the bread in oil. See, I got oil. Let me invite 20 people. So he invites all these people. When they came, during the meal, he realizes, wait a minute, he put his ladle inside and he pulls out a red substance. What's going on here? He smells it, it's wine. Oive. So now all his guests are sitting there and they don't have anything to dip their bread in. He went and he hung himself. Okay. So maybe you're not allowed to do something like this. It could cause somebody to lose his life. So don't trick him in the beginning and say, I brought you a whole barrel of oil, but in fact it's really wine. So says the Gemara, based on this, if that guest wanted to give his portion to somebody else, it would be very problematic. Why? Because l'maisa, there's no more food in the kitchen. So if the guest decided, I want to give my portion to one of the kids, and the balabayis will go and get me another piece of chicken in the kitchen. But there is no piece of chicken in the kitchen. Listen what happened over here. There's a terrible story that happened. I'm not sure if it's before this psak or after, but it's a halach in Shulchan Aruch, that if a guest wants to give food to the children of the host, he has to ask permission. First of all, sometimes it's not healthy for the kids. The host doesn't want his kids to have stuff to die or whatever it is. So don't give them the food. Ask permission. So listen to the story. Ask permission. There's a person, during the famine, he invited 3 guests. And he had nothing to serve them. Ella keshalish beitzim. There's a shaila how to be goris here. Shalish beitzim or keshalish beitzim. Some people are goris 3 eggs, or the amount of 3 eggs. That's all. Each one got an egg. You can imagine it was famine. This kid didn't eat for who knows how long. He's starving. And he goes and he begs the guest if he could have an egg. Each one gave their own thing to the kid. He found this kid, 1 egg stuffed in his mouth. We have a gewaldige picture. Mamish like this. 1 egg stuffed in his mouth. 1 egg in the right hand, 1 egg in the left hand. The kid is starving. He killed this kid at a busha. What am I going to give the guest now? He killed this kid. Story's not over. When the wife saw that her son is dead, somebody just asked me, I forgot who it was. The lashon v'nafla seems like the person fell off by himself. We just had it a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe. But nafla v'meisa means she jumped off the roof. She committed suicide. Says he also went up to the rooftop and he jumped off. From this story, 3 Jewish souls were lost because the guests didn't listen to the halacha and they gave the kid food without asking. Micah Mashalon. Why does it say that Reb Eli said 3 people died because, if you read the story, 3 people died. So why does Reb Eli say, and 3 people died because of this? The Kula Michael Mashalon, the Kula Reb Eli because the Tana forgot to say this, Reb Eli saying this. So at the end of the story, he sticks in Reb Eli name, just so you know that the whole story is Reb Eli the whole halacha is Reb Eli There's no need for it. You're right. Tana Rabbana. Hashelech yerech lechaveroi shleima enu tzorch she'ito leimeno yidra nashim. So if you send a thigh to your friend, to another Jewish person, if it's whole, you don't have to take out the yidra nashim, because the Jew knows he has to remove it. Chatucha, but if it's cut up, tzorch leimeno yidra nashim, you have to. If it's cut up. V'goy bein chatucha bein shleima ein tzorch leimeno yidra nashim. So if it's a non-Jew, so it doesn't matter. Even if it's cut up, you don't have to take out the Gidan Nosha. And we're going to see why. And you're not allowed to sell a treif to the guy. This would be a big problem if you're passing like this, because we sell treif to the guy. All the treifs in the shlach go to the guy. And one reason is because you're fooling him. The guy, if he knew that treifa, he wouldn't buy it. We're concerned that the non-Jew is going to turn around and sell to the Jew. Another halacha. So we have 3 halachas here. We have the Reisha, the Seifa, and the Seifa of the Seifa. The last halacha is here. Don't tell a non-Jew, please go to the store and buy me a piece of meat. Here's $100, go buy me some meat. Because of 2 things. Because the guy that you're using as your messenger might steal from the Jew. You don't want the guy to not pay him. The guy has your $100. He goes and he flashes $100 to a Jewish butcher. He buys $100 worth of meat. Then he runs out of there without giving the $100 to the Jew. So it's not dafka meat, I guess. It's everything. If the non-Jew shows up, it's obvious that he's not a non-Jew. He's wearing a non-Jewish necklace. I don't know what. Comes to the store. So the Jew selling the meat is going to think, he's buying for himself. Let me give him the treifas I just had today. Let me give him the nevela. And then the guy's going to come back to the Jew and give him the treif and the nevela. When you send a thigh to a guy, we're just going through the 3 halachas that we learned. The Gemara is going to explain how it all fits together. If you're sending a thigh to a non-Jew, even if it's cut up, you don't have to remove the Gidan Nashon. But what are we talking about? Because it doesn't seem to go where. Because the Mishnah says it has to be whole. Now we're saying even cut is okay. If it's a place that they make announcements. In other words, it's a place that you could buy from the non-Jew. What's the reason they allowed to sell him a cut-up piece? Since that day, there's no announcements. The Jew will come to buy from the non-Jew because he's allowed to buy from non-Jew. So it must be that we're talking about a place that there's no achrazah. So let's see the chart, the ratio. You're allowed to give the guy. You don't have to remove. Okay? But you see, all the way on the right, Ein machriz. Now let's go to the middle case. What's the middle case? You're not allowed to sell the guy. First we said because we're just repeating. Because you're fooling him. Because he might sell to another Jew. If it's talking about like a machrizin, then what? That's a place that there's no achrazah. So in other words, you're not allowed to buy from a non-Jew. No Jew will buy from him because it's a place that you don't announce. If you don't announce, you're not allowed to buy from a non-Jew. Push the button. Boom. The middle case is talking about a case where they announce. And therefore, if you sell this to the guy, he might go and turn around and sell to the Jew, and a Jew will be eating treif. In the safe, now let's go to the last case. You shouldn't use, let's say you have a guy working for you, he's a non-Jew, here, take $100, go buy meat from a kosher butcher. Why? They say the 2 reasons. Because he might steal the money from the butcher. The visitor is see a non-Jew showing up, a customer, I'll sell him the treifas. And then the Jew will end up eating treif. As the Gemara if it's like the middle case. Now what? The middle case we said is a place that they announce. And if it's a place they announce, you're allowed to buy meat from a non-Jew. You used to have a treifa, wait a minute. If there's a treifa that day, they would have made announcements. But they didn't announce. Let's push the button. So the Seifa is talking about a place that there's no achrazah. There's no achrazah, you're not allowed to buy from the guy. As the Gemara, it makes no sense. You tell me 3 cases. You just said 3 cases straight. It turns out the first case is a machrizim, as you see in the chart. The last case is a machrizim. The middle case is machrizim. So it's a sandwich. And that doesn't really go well. Usually, everything is consistent. Amar Abaye in. When I was learning this, and this is many times I learned sugis like this, and I say to myself, wow, it just seems like Abaya always says this shita. It's the Abaya l'shitasa. I might be completely off, because I have a bad memory. But it just seems like Abaya says, yeah, you have a problem? That's the way it is. Yeah, the reish is a machrizim, the safe is a machrizim. The middle is not. The middle is machrizim. And then always, Rava comes along, I have to ask my chavrusa, the fencer. It just seems like it's a by Rava, mamish l'shitasa. The Rava comes along and says, no, let me explain to you. It's not, no, that's a problem to say everything is a machrizim. So, let's just do this. Abaye says, yes, it's just like this. Comes Rava and says, no, everything is consistent. All 3 are green. Machrizim. It's a place where they announce, and if it's a place they announce, you're allowed to buy from the non-Jew. So let's see how it works. In fact, there was achraz in those places. Here, you can see, he put in the middle box, hichrizu in the first and the last, and the middle one in red, it says, lo yichrizu. There's no achrazim. We're concerned that he's going to steal the money. Rashi and says it's consistent, but the other way. Everything is a machrizim. The reason why you're not allowed to sell to the guy, because we're concerned. What was the middle one again? Why can't you sell a tray for the guy? Because we're concerned he's going to sell it in front of another Jew. And the second Jew that doesn't know it's flying, he's going to think that he sold him kosher meat, and he's not going to hear that it's a tray for him. Says the Gemara, what exactly do you say? What exactly do you announce on the table? We saw in the first video, they scream, Nofal Bisrael of Chela. Meat fell to the non-Jew. So the Gemara, why don't you just say the truth? Why don't you say that a treifa went to the non-Jew, and then people will be really nervous about it? So the Gemara, then the non-Jew won't buy. If you scream, hey, it's a treifa, they're going to get all nervous by it. Says Gemara, but by you not saying this a treifa, you're fooling the non-Jew. And we just established you're not allowed to fool the non-Jew. Says the Gemara, inu hu the komatu nafshayu. The non-Jew is fooling himself. What's the pshat? We have to understand, l'chayra doesn't fit with what we said before. Because before, so we'll just repeat. Usually, a piece of meat is kosher. If it's kosher, the guy is going to think that it's kosher. But you selling him a piece of meat that's not kosher, you're fooling him, and that we said is awesome. Over here it's different. Why is it different? Because there was an announcement made. There was an announcement, the meat fell to the non-Jew. So the non-Jew should have asked, what's going on here? What do you mean it fell? Why did it fall? Why are you making an announcement? And they would have told him it's treifa. By him not asking, then he fooled himself. Well, it's enough gemina. If you offer information and you're misleading, that's also. If you don't offer any information at all, that's also misleading. Yeah, if you don't offer information, it's misleading. But if there's a certain announcement going around town, and the guy should have known from this announcement that it's treif, and he didn't, then you say that's his problem. Says the Gemara, the Marzutra Bereder Rav Nachman. Listen to this story. Mamish got into stuff, but amazing stuff. The Marzutra Bereder Rav Nachman have a causal mesichro lebeimuchos. Marzutra was walking from one city to the other. V'Rava v'Rav Safra have a causal mesichro. And Rav and Safra were walking towards him. They bump into each other. Who saw? Listen to this. Marzutra thought lapi the causal. He thought that Rav Safra and Rava were walking towards him to meet him, to greet him. Wow, it's so nice of you that you came to greet me. You didn't have to. Why do you have to be matriach yourself? He's being blunt with him. We didn't know that you're coming. Sorry. We were not coming for you. We didn't know you were coming. But in order not to bother him too much, he says, had we known, then we would have gone way out of our way. But I have to tell you the truth, we didn't know. We didn't know you were coming. Why do you have to be so honest with him? He thought that we were honoring him, and now you took away his honor. What was the point? We're fooling him. Says Rava, no, that was his problem. He fooled himself. So we have to really understand what's enough community between all these cases. So in this particular case, they didn't say we're coming to you. They didn't say, hey, Marzutra, we came to greet you. They didn't say anything. They were just walking. You want to think that's you? Let's say you open up a bottle of wine in your house. It's a $200 bottle of wine. You have a guest. And the guest says, wow, thank you so much for opening up the bottle of wine for me. He made his own assumption. You don't have to fix that, says Rava. That you don't have to fix. If he thought on his own that you're opening up the bottle of wine for him, fine. The problem is when you open your mouth and you say, I'm opening up a bottle of wine for you. Murdered. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schutz of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shiur today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.